Hi, good afternoon. So this is a project that we did in Thrissur almost 2 years ago. It's a corporate office for a company named Kwalkrete. So the site is located in Poothol, which is about 3 kilometers from the Thrissur town. And it's a fairly small site of 6 cents of land. And it's a west-facing site. Um, so speaking about the site, it's quite in the midst of a neighborhood of residential buildings, and it's quite tucked away from the main road, so you can't see it from the main road. So we didn't do it for any elevational purpose or anything. It's very tailor-made for the client. Before moving on, I would like to talk a bit about our client, which is Kwalkrete. So Kwalkrete is a company who provides different types of construction solutions, construction and building solutions. So they sell products like chemicals, glues, adhesives, gums, things like that. They also does extensive research in concrete. So they does a lot of concrete, different types of concrete floorings, then custom furnitures with concrete and steel, and interior decors with like pots and everything in concrete. So they asked us to design an office space for them to accommodate all their staffs and a recreational space for the staff and their customers, and also a go-down space to store all their goods and raw materials, and also a display center to display their products, because they have a lot of products which I mentioned. So our initial goal was, rather than making a conventional building and putting storage rooms and display rooms inside it, we wanted to make the entire building feels like an experience center. So the entire building should be like an example of their work, the client's work. So, for example, the client can literally come up with their customers, and they can point to the ceiling, point to the floors, point to the walls, and they can talk to their client in such a way on how these materials are being used in real space. So it gives them a new perspective for the clients to see and touch the material. So that was the goal. And this is one of the elevation. So it's a 3-story building. So having a 3-story building in a small site like this can be a bit intimidating when someone enters. So we thought of opening up the entire ground floor to the elements, to the surroundings. So we gave spaces like the trucks to coming truck bays and go down spaces in the ground floor. And we moved the important places to the top. So since it's a west-facing site, we added external balconies onto the facade to screen the building, and also added plants on it. And we took the terrace floor for the recreational area, because we thought it's a perfect place because it's away from the distractions and the noises down below from the ground floor. So it's like a recreational space with bar counters and all for the client and for the customers. So this is one of the exterior views during evening. So the client was very adamant about the time frame of the building. He wanted to, he was keen on finishing it on time because he has a running business. So we opted for steel structure. We made the skeleton using steel, and we added lightweight infills like AC blocks and decking sheets to envelop the building like walls. And we also have a floating roof at the top. And for the exterior, we didn't do much extra, so everything is kept quite raw. And we wanted to preserve the true materiality of the building. The only thing that we did for beautification or ornamentation are bringing in a lot of plants. So bringing in nature always helps. So this is the ground floor plan I was talking about. So you can see open spaces, mostly with less walls, and we have a small reception area. That's it for the ground floor. So, yeah. This is the front yard where someone enters to the building. We made that compound wall casted in concrete. So this is the reception area. You can see the stark contrast of colors being used. This is stair area. We used the gaps between the eye sections to put plants. So we did tricks and gimmicks like that all over. So this is a stair area coming up. And this is the first floor plan. This is where most active spaces are zoned. So it's like 2 bays. In this left bay, we have the MD's room, we have the workspace, and a small conference room. And in the next bay, we have the display center to display the products. And you can see these guidelines being used. So these guidelines represent each room. So each room has an accent wall which matches with that guideline. So somebody who's coming up the stairs can direct to that spaces. So these are the walls that I'm talking about. I'll just go through the images fast. This is the MD rooms. So all the lights are made, custom made with wood and steel, and all the MEP lines and electrical ducts are kept as it is to add to the industrial look we are going for. Different types of floorings are done. That's colored epoxy on the floor. It's the conference room. This is the display area. It acts as also as an interaction area for the client and customers. It's like a lounge. Everything is kept floor. So this is the terrace floor. We have the recreational spaces mostly here. We have a bar counter and informal seating spaces. We also have a room in case the client wants to stay one night. So there are facilities for that. So these spaces came as an afterthought because we treated this project like a DIY project. So these spaces were not in our initial plans. So we made a lot of, we used a lot of leftover materials like the decking sheets and leftover jollies we used in the elevation to make the bar counter and anything. And that light has a bit of story to tell. So you know these boxes, these wooden boxes, these materials comes in. So it's called Takalipatti in Malayalam. So we had a pile of these during construction. So we, instead of dismantling them, we thought of, instead of throwing it away, we dismantled them and we used the wooden pellets and put a frame over it and added some lights. So that's how it's, the light is made. So everything is like, we treated it like that. That's how we did the design of these spaces. And the legs of these bar chairs are civil roads. So I had some more slides, but okay.
Yeah, I think with the client's brief and then you trying to kind of bring in their material as your primary like an expression in this building. I think what could have been even more interesting is trying to understand how steel works. No, you are talking about a building which is made out of steel, and the tectonic of working. Most of the plans, when you are showing us the plan, it looked like it's a masonry project, but a material like steel calls for a different sense of understanding. I think as an Indian, we always feel that we don't understand steel well. So with respect to the weather, with respect to the layers one could actually create, I think if you can develop that as your, as a building language, it could have been even more provocative. And then if your client is into, are they also into these precast concrete panels and all that?
They also sell these chemicals like weatherproofing and corrosion free. So we use steel because of that. Because we have to prove that these
you can, but when you want to get steel with a masonry, there is a way you need to kind of make them meet. So how do you look at them very sensitively? It's very important. So when glass meets steel, when steel meets, so we start looking at that as a joinery, and then because this entire project is about the material. And then how you look at concrete. So there is a way all these materials have a certain unique, what do you call the making, and how they would actually respond to the weather and the climatic conditions. So I think had you gone a little deeper into that, we would have enjoyed this project more. I think the stool with the steel leg, with the construction waste or whatever, looked interesting. But somehow you need to get that holistic understanding of what that project intent should be. I think that I felt was missed out. Okay. Thank you.
So you've done the architecture and the interior, I assume, right? The inside.
We didn't do much, like the interiors are a reflection of how the exterior is. So we didn't do much.
Which is exactly what I was going to come to, and that could have been so much more, right? Because light is completely artificial look like, at least in the photographs? So when you're doing
we
the...
didn't professionally photograph it till now.
No. There is no light in the
Mm.
spaces. It's all artificially lit even during the day, it looks like.
There are slit windows and all, and we used artificial lights as well. It's not completely.
So when
natural
you're
light.
doing the architecture itself, was there no attention paid to the kind of light that will be required in workplaces,
Mm.
right? So when I initially saw the drawings, I thought they are these containers, but they're not, right? You've used the material that the client is supplying or using on the external, outside. So it's not containers or
It
anything.
has coatings and all. The client provides a lot of chemicals so that you can apply it on steel.
So what is seen on the outside and then what is felt on the inside, there is a complete disjoint. The outside and the inside does not really marry each other. So it feels like the outside is done by one person and the inside is done by another person. That's why I asked you, have you done both? Because that exactly is what I felt is missing. So, I mean, those materials could have been completely expressed on the inside too. And that whole industrial feel could have been there, felt on the inside.
It's there. The corrugations and all, you can see from the inside. So.
Yeah. So anyways, that is what I felt. And I feel that when you do workplaces, especially when you're doing the architecture and interior, we have to pay a lot of attention to light, which is a very important element for workplaces. How one feels during the day when it's going to be used maximum time, and definitely you should avoid the use of artificial light during the day. And how that can be achieved was a lost opportunity for sure. But it's a good attempt, definitely, because you're trying to use what the client is supplying and get his kind of work things into the project. So as an intent, it's interesting, but definitely it could have gone further.
Okay, thanks.
So I'll start off with a positive thing. I think the top floor was the most exciting part of the whole building. But when you look at it from the point of view of the brief that you had given us, that you had received, it's sort of, you know, what clients selling these chemicals. They're not selling those corrugated sheets. They're not selling tiles. And the way you've used all that material is great. It's coming across great, but it sort of doesn't. I think when you told us what you were setting out to do, the top floor doesn't fall into those parameters, so to say, but it's very, very interesting. But I think Sonal put it very nicely. I mean, when you look at it from the outside and when you come inside, it looks like there are two different narratives going along. I mean, I think that is the best way to sum it up. But your top floor is really nice, and I prefer looking at your building from the outside. I think just like everybody else. But yeah, the idea that what you told us that you were trying to do, I think it was the idea is great. I think over time you'd be able to see it through better. But good. I liked it. Thank you.
Thank you.